Okay, folks. Hello. This is Who Did You Boycott today? I can't be here long, but got to get a few words out. I don't understand why adults are still running around here identifying as Black American and African American. Have they went and read that definition on the OMB? What is the excuse? What is the excuse for adults to get up day after day after day after day after day and keep identifying by Black American and African American? How much more clear do America need to spell it out to you that you are invisible? You do not have any rights as long as you keep identifying as Black American and African American. How much more clear do America and the OMB and the whole world need to make it for you? You cannot be this brain dead. You just cannot. It's impossible to be this brain dead. Every immigrant in America has rights over you. Every time you say that word out your mouth and put it in print, every immigrant in America walking on two legs have rights over you and your children and grandkids. So why are you doing it? I just need to understand, why are you doing it? The 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment and the 15th Amendment and all these little Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, Constitution does not apply to you. Everywhere that you see the word Black American and African American, as soon as you see that word, you need to shimmy on over to the OMB and digest that definition. Because currently, the OMB have you described as a Black racial group of Africa. What human being is born on the earth belonging to a Black racial group of Africa? Do anyone know how that came about? For God's sake, what is wrong with you adults' brain? You expect to get policies and legislation based on that definition? You got to have lost your mind. But y'all spend all this time having y'all little celebrations and talking about Juneteenth and y'all little pull-ups and y'all little partitions. You are invisible. You are non-existent. You don't have an identity. You don't have a birthright. You do not have an ethnicity. How many times do you need to repeat it over and over in your head before it sinks in? You would never get any legislation, any policies, as long as America and the OMB recognizes you as a Black racial group of Africa. They have told you to your face that every immigrant has rights in this country over you and your children and grandkids. How much more clear do they need to spell it out for you? Every immigrant in America has rights over you. Human rights, self-respect, protection, and access to resources over you every second of the day. How much more clear do they need to make it? How much more clear do they need to make it for you? They have spelled it out on the OMB website. I don't know how much more clear they can make it for you. That is why they removed Negro. Negro was the only race and ethnicity that gave Negro descendants and their ancestors their rights in this country. But y'all little brain dead smart folks could not understand that. You were too offended. You were too outdated with the term Negro. But you are never going to get any rights in this country if Negro is not put back on that census report. That's just the reality. You are never going to see an ounce of any human rights, self-respect, protection, or resources if Negro is not put back on that census report, because the ancestors carved it out in blood, sweat, and tears, and bones, and murder. There's no more finite contract than that. That's the same contract that the Native Americans and American Indians are operating on. Maybe that can get through to y'all thick head. Maybe that can help you folks comprehend what's reality. The Negro ancestors, who were Negro slaves for 246 years, carved out your rights and my rights for our human rights, our self-respect, our protection, and our access to resources. They carved it out for 246 years. That's why America and the OMB removed it, and they replaced it with a definition telling you adults that you have to identify as a black racial group of Africa. So that's what they did. And y'all folks are waking up day after day pretending like nothing happened. Y'all are waking up day after day pretending like nothing has happened. You're planning events and celebrations and signing petitions like nothing happened. You persons have really lost your mind. You're waking up pretending like nothing has happened. You want to pretend like that definition is not on the OMB. Oh, just pretend like it's not over there. If we pretend like it's not over there, maybe nobody won't find out about it. Maybe enough folks won't find out about it. It'll just be a secret. It'll just be a secret. And enough folks won't find out about it. We'll just keep running around here saying we all black Americans. We fighting. We are fighting the folks who want to identify as African American, and both terms mean nothing. The OMB told you what ethnicities are recognized and acknowledged on that census report. They even went to the bottom of the barrel and recognized Somali. I mean, it don't get much worse than that. They even went to the bottom of the barrel and jumped right over you as a black American and African American, and they recognized, they showed respect. They recognized and showed respect to Jamaicans, Haitians, Ethiopians, and even Somalians over you and your children and grandkids. But you folks are waking up day after day like nothing has happened, like they did nothing. The same old, same old. Take whatever they do to you and just keep on trucking. Just take whatever they do to you and just keep on trucking, putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep right on trucking, putting that one foot in front of the other like they did nothing. They gun you down. They gun you down like an animal. They lock you up like an animal. They kill you in the hospital. They starve you to death. They lock you out of jobs. They make you homeless. I mean, the list goes on. And you just take it and keep on trucking. You just wake up day after day and keep on trucking, putting one foot in front of the other. And they just keep adding to the list. They just keep adding to the list. So now the list is at this. This is the list that I have in my little head. We have the Jim Crow police. We have the racist policemen, Latinos and Mexicans. We have the psychopath that go on a gun street anytime they feel like it. And then you have the racist soldiers, the race soldiers that pick up a gun any day they wake up and decide they want to go kill some people. So you got, that's the environment. That's the environment that you live in. But you folks want to celebrate. You folks feel like celebrating. And then you got the audacity to try to celebrate Juneteenth and leave Negro off the JPEG. How do you folks celebrate Juneteenth and leave Negro off the JPEG? Now you can't blame the white man for this one. You cannot blame the white man for this one. You persons who sat down and decided to make up that JPEG, nobody was standing beside you with a gun. You made a conscious choice to leave Negro off of that JPEG. The white man can't be blamed for you leaving that Negro off of that JPEG. You can't celebrate Juneteenth and leave Negro off the JPEG. You can pretend to celebrate Juneteenth. You can fake the funk. And you can paint a line narrative. And convince the people in your community that you're doing something good. See, that's the world that we live in. Everybody, a lot of folks want to get over on folks. They want to manipulate them. They want to get over on them. They want to manipulate them to believe their own lies. So you folks say, well, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight for my birthright. I don't want to fight for my identity. I don't want to fight for my ethnicity. I prefer to go celebrate and pretend like nothing is going on. I prefer to go lie to my community and tell them we're doing a great thing to celebrate this Juneteenth, but you cannot celebrate Juneteenth if you chose to leave Negro off of that JPEG, because Negro slavery came first. Negro slavery came before Juneteenth. Negro slavery was recorded for 246 years before this superficial holiday was invented. That's how low you folks don't fail. You put more importance on a superficial holiday than fighting for your history that your ancestors lived and died for. That's how far gone you folks have gone from this sickness of this environment. You have been so damaged by this sick environment that you have no clue how much you are exhibiting your enemy's traits. That's how bad it done got. It's a very, very, very sad situation that you human beings would take the time to make up a JPEG and claim you are celebrating Juneteenth and leave Negro off the JPEG. How do you perform that Houdini? How do you shape that into something even close to a true narrative? Because the Negroes who were emancipated in 1865 were all Negroes. Those that got freed 2 years later were all Negroes. But you folks done decided that you're going to rewrite the history. You're going to claim they were all Black Americans. They were not even using the term Black American back then. See how much of a bald-faced liar y'all are? That term had not even come about. It was not even in existence. It was not being used out of anyone's mouth. It did not come out of anyone's mouth. It never came out of anyone's mouth back then. But y'all little folks is in the 21st century. You have decided to rewrite the narrative and make every one of those persons a Black American. You just decided you was going to be God. You decided you were going to be God. And you was going to decide every one of those persons was a Black American. You just had a crystal ball and you decided you were going to be God and you were going to make them a Black American. You see the sickness? Y'all are witnessing real-time sickness that's going to be passed down to their children and grandkids. All of us adults that have been on this earth for the past 54 years have been harmed by America. Once they decided to lump, let's say the darn word, lump Negro descendants under a term called Black American and African American. The facts are out there. The facts are out there. This is not something that's made up. This is no guesswork. The facts are out there. America orchestrated a diabolical plan to remove Negro from existence slowly Slowly, they decided slowly they was going to take Negro out of the existence of being in print and being spoken. And I can say that because I was born in 1962 and it was put on my birth certificate. So it was still in existence in 1962. I know that because I can just pull out my birth certificate and know that that's a factual evidence. That's factual evidence. That's factual evidence that America had not put a diabolical plan into motion by the time I was born in 1962. Otherwise, Negro would have not been put on my birth certificate. See how that works? See how that proves y'all bald-faced lie is a lie? You see how it proves your bald-faced lie is a lie? But you folks are playing with fire. You are playing with fire. You can keep on playing these games and pretending like nothing is happening. You can bury your head in the sand. If you're not careful, you're going to wake up a day real soon. And what is going on in Palestinian is going to be at your doorstep. It's going to be at your doorstep, and you're going to pretend like, oh, I'm so shocked. I didn't see it coming. Oh, I don't understand. I didn't see it coming. I don't understand. Just be prepared for the day when that knock at your door come. Because America is doing a dry run. They doing a dry run. America and Israel is doing a dry run in Palestinian. It's coming your way. It's coming your way if you live long enough. If they get their way, it's coming to your doorstep. But you folks don't want to live in reality. It's apparent. It's quite apparent that you adults don't want to live in reality. You folks prefer to live in that fantasy world, that delusional world, and so that is what you do every day you wake up. You form this fantasy world that you're gonna go through for the next 24 hours, or that delusional world that you form for the next 24 hours, and then you just keep repeating that day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. That is quite apparent. I can say that because I have been observing for 62 years. I'll say 52 years. I won't count my first 9 or 10 years on the earth because I was, even though I started being aware of my surroundings around 9 years old. I probably wasn't too aware of it at 8 years old, and 7 years old, 6 years old. But by the time I turned 9 years old, I was starting to get aware of my surroundings. So that adds up to about 54 years. About 54 years I have been observing this world that I've been living in. And as I have gotten older, it slowly started being apparent that it was a lot easier to live in a fantasy world, a make-believe world, than to face the real hostile environment that you were facing daily. It was just you had to find an escape. You just had to find an escape because it was just too much to bear. So your brain just mentally provided an escape door for you to go through. Once you reach that breaking point that you could bear no more, you decided to go through that escape door and escape from reality and escape to fantasy and delusion. So that's what a lot of folks had to do. That's what a lot of folks had to do to survive day after day. They just could not face the reality of the world around them. And so, as human beings, we naturally develop a way to survive to be able to exist second by second, minute by minute. We have to find a way to survive through whatever we're faced with. And so I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. I got to try to get some work done. I got to try to get some work done today. And but I had to change my title. I had to change my room title because I'm fed up with these adults running around here telling folks to identify as Black American and African American. That's not a race. That's not an ethnicity. That's not a birthright. Every immigrant in America is recognized for their birthright. They are recognized for their identity. They are recognized for their ethnicity. That's the first thing. Go look at that OMB website and tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Go down each one of those ethnicities on that census report and ask yourself the honest question. Is the OMB in America recognizing their birthright, their identity, official identity, their official ethnicity that is connected to their national origin? Tell me that each person, each ethnicity on that census report is not connected back to their national origin. Tell me I'm lying. Read each one of them one by one and tell me it's not connected back to a national origin. Somalia, connected back to a national origin, connected back to a nation. Ethiopian, ethnicity. First of all, the ethnicity is being recognized and acknowledged in black and white. Ethiopian, they telling you by spelling the word out that I officially recognize that it's an ethnicity. I officially recognize that's an identity. I officially recognize that it's a birthright. Next, it's connected to a national origin. Ethiopian has a national origin back to the continent. Back to the continent. Just trace it back to the continent so they have an official national origin. Number 3, they have a nation. That's their nation on that continent. That's their official nation. Whatever the length of that landmass, that's their nation. Do Black American or African American have any of those 3? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Do the term Black American, do the term that they keep telling you to identify as, do Black American and African American have any of those 3? So your common sense, your comprehension should tell you right out of the gate, you got 3 strikes against you and your children and grandkids. Before your feet touch the floor every morning, you already got 3 strikes against you. And every immigrant has that recognized, and they get priority. So I ain't got to make up no lie. I do not have to make up no lie. I just have to read the information. I have to read the information and process it in my little brain, and come to an understanding. It's just that simple. I ain't got to sit down and try to make up no lie. I just got to sit down and read the information, process it with my little brain, and come to an understanding. It's just that simple. And the understanding is clear. America is in your face, they're telling you that you don't have a birthright, you do not have an identity, you do not have a recognized ethnicity, you do not have a national origin, you do not have a nation. America is telling you that. But you adults are waking up day after day pretending like it's not so. Y'all just pretending and running around here telling folks as hard as you can tell them, we are all Black Americans, like it's something to be proud of. It's bizarre. It's downright bizarre. I don't know what to tell you. It's downright bizarre. completely bizarre. You go in from Twitter space to Twitter space, Twitter space, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Clubhouse, Instagram, and everywhere you go, folks are saying out their mouth, we Black American. I'm Black American. We Black Americans. I'm Black American. Like you saying something. It's pitiful because I think a lot of folks just don't know about it. But those that know about it are perpetrating and spreading the harm. Because a lot of folks do know this information. A lot of folks know this information and they still are preaching that term Black American and African American. They know the truth. And they still are running around telling their community and their friends and their family and loved ones that we are Black American. We are Black Americans. What do that mean? It sounds good coming out your mouth, but what does the definition mean? How is the country that you live in and day out recognize that term? Just ask yourself a simple question. What does it mean? How does the country that I live in recognize and acknowledge that word Black American and African American? And once you ask yourself that hard question and look at the definition, and then you have to say, do it make sense? Do it make sense for me to want to identify that way? Unless I don't love myself, unless I don't care about my well-being, unless I don't care about my human rights, unless I don't care about my self-respect, unless I don't care about having a minimal amount of protection in the society that I live in day in and day out, because every human being is afforded a certain amount of protection that can be put in place. Whatever amount that is, every effort needs to be made for every human being to have protection. The bare minimum protection is as much as possible. And then you get to the number 4, a fair access to resources. A fair access to resources. A fair access to resources. Well, America has denied Negro descendants of all 4 of those things for the past 54 years. Count it. 54 years. Because America decided they wanted to lump Negro descendants under a word called Black American and African American. And then they just put the definition there and went about orchestrating their diabolical plan. So that is why they spend all of this energy standing before you lying, talking about minority, underserved communities, Black and brown, Black and brown, Black and brown. What does Black and brown stand for? God did not create any human being called Black and brown. Am I mistaken? Am I mistaken? Did God create a human being called Black and brown? I don't think so. I don't believe I have it incorrect. But on any given day, you can read it in print. You can take your little 2 eyes and read it in print. And these lying human beings is talking about persons who are Black and brown, like it's a real thing, like it's a real human being. They really put it in print and they say it out their mouth like it's something proud to be proud of. And you adults just swallow it. You don't have any pushback, any objection. You don't state that you don't want to be referenced as a Black or brown person. You don't say nothing. Again, you just take it and keep right on trucking. putting one foot in front of the other like nothing happened. So the black and brown and the minority, and the way they throw all these terms around in the same paragraph. You can read a paragraph or two or three or four, and by the time you get done reading whatever you're reading, they don't say it. Black American, African American, minority, underserved, black and brown. They don't change up four or five, at least 3 or 4 or 5 times by the time you get done reading what you're reading. Wouldn't it just be simple? Wouldn't it just be simple to be specific and not general? Not reference human beings in a general wording. Wouldn't it just be respectful and simple to whatever you're going to write and to print, just to be specific? But no, that would be asking too much. That will be showing too much respect to a human being. So they don't got you folks to adopt them throwing these words around any way they want. They can change it up in the same breath. In one sentence they saying African American. In the next sentence they saying Black American. In the next sentence they saying minority. In the next sentence they saying underserved. In the next sentence they saying black and brown. Okay. So that's where we at. That is where we at. Every immigrant that got here after the Negro ancestors carved out 246 years with blood, sweat, and tears and bones and murder, and built the wealth on their backs and never got paid 1 penny, built the infrastructure on their backs and never got paid 1 penny. But every immigrant is recognized and respected on that census report. Let that resonate. Let that resonate. Let that resonate. Every immigrant that's listed on that census report did not sacrifice no blood, sweat, and tears and bones and murder. They didn't get hanged for 246 years. They did not get hanged for 246 years. They did not get lynched for 246 years. They did not get lynched for 246 years. They did not get burnt for 246 years. They did not get burnt for 246 years. They did not get murdered and hunted down like an animal for 246 years. They did not get murdered and hunted down like an animal for 246 years. But they on that census report. A tragedy. It's a downright crime. It's a downright crime to put all those ethnicities on that census report and leave Negro off. But God is going to tend to you folks. God is going to tend to every person that has played a part. This blasphemy of God's chosen people will not go unjudged. It will not go unjudged. You can bank on it. If you ain't ever believed anything in your life, if you have not ever believed anything in your life, believe this. God is going to tend to every one of these human beings with this blasphemy of God's chosen people, Negro, before this earth come to an end. God is going to tend to that. That you can be sure of. That you can be sure of. As sure as the nose on your face. As sure as you have a nose on your face. As sure as that nose is on your face and you are breathing in and out, God is going to tend to each of these human beings for the tragedy and the low down blasphemy that they have done against God's chosen people. And all you persons who are playing your part, trying to erase the term Negro and replace it with Black American and African American, you are playing your part, and God is going to tend to you. You can bank on it. You can bank on it. Because Black American was not the Negroes' ethnicity and race. It was not, and it is not today. It was not their ethnicity in 1865. It was not their ethnicity for 246 years. It was not their ethnicity and race after they were emancipated. And it's based on my understanding with the proof of my birth certificate all the way up to 1962, Negro was still being put on birth certificates. Otherwise, I think they would have put Black American on my birth certificate, and they did not do that. So, if you folks care to do so, go do your research and understand how America orchestrated a media propaganda and forced the term Negro, to force the term Black American into existence. That's how it came about. And folks are just being determined to hold on to it with a death grip because they afraid they're gonna lose they little slogan, Black Power and Black Pride and Black culture. They willing to sacrifice their children's well-being, sacrifice the well-being of their grandkids to hold on to a word called Black American and African American, all for the sake of Black pride, Black power, and Black culture. They willing to sacrifice their children's future that's going to have to live up under that word. They're going to have to live up under that word the same way you and me have lived up under that word for 54 years. So you want to pass it down to your children. 54 years is not enough for you. It's just not enough. 54 years is not enough. It's not long enough. So you want to make sure that your children endure the same thing. You want to make sure that your grandkids endure the same thing. It don't get no more mental damage than that. That a mother and father cannot look at information on a website and make a critical evaluation that the OMB in the country that you live in has explained to you the definition that describes your existence, and you can't process and say, I need to abolish that word. I need to not to identify that way, because I do not want that same harm to happen to my children and my grandkids. You cannot make that evaluation, and you are adult. You cannot make that evaluation. Do you need help from your enemy? Do you need help from a doctor? Do you need help from somebody you trust to help you to process that definition? Well, I'm going to work now. I'm going back to my work. But my title is going to stay up. In honor of the ancestors, in honor of my existence on this earth, in honor of my existence, in honor of my mother existence, in honor of my grandfather and grandmother existence, in honor of my great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother existence, in honor of all the Negroes, slaves that lived and died so that I could have a chance at a better life, so that I, as an individual, could have a chance at a better life. But you persons don't want that to be so. You have sacrificed 246 years that the ancestors carved out for all of us. You human beings have sacrificed that. It's gone. We all lost that history. We lost 246 years for a word called Black American. We lost 246 years for a word called African American. We lost 246 years for a word called freeman. We lost 246 years for a word called ADOS. We lost 246 years for a word called FBA. It's gone. If we cannot force America to recognize that history and put that back on the census report and not erase it in all the search engines and chat GPT and AI and all these books, if we can't force America to recognize Negro ancestors' history the same way they recognize German history, the same way they recognize Italian history, the same way they recognize Irish history, the same way they recognize Asian history, the same way they recognize Jewish history, the same way they recognize Latino history, the same way they recognize Mexican history. We have lost every bit of history that our ancestors carved out for all of us. The OMB in America, in the whole world, on the 28th of March, 2024, took an ink pen. On the 28th of March, 2024, they took an ink pen and they erased Negro from the face of this earth. They took an ink pen and decided to erase Negro from the face of this earth. And then they had the audacity to say they wanted to expedite it. They wanted to expedite that decision. They wanted to expedite it from the federal to the state to the local level. And you adults have been pretending like nothing happened. You adults have been pretending like nothing happened. But instead, you folks have woken up day after day and kept right on preaching Black American, African American, freemen, and ADOS and FBA. When each of those words have not given us 1 ounce of protection or rights in America. They have not delivered or given us any protection and human rights 1 single day, 1 second of the day. Not 1 second of the day. Not 1 day have any of those words provided 1 ounce of rights or protection or resources. But you adults keep getting up day after day telling other folks it's a good thing to say we Black American. You tell other folks it's a good thing that we are Black Americans and African Americans. You keep telling more and more persons when you clearly, those of you that have been really listening and been a part of these conversations for the past year or two, you know the truth. But it's just more easier for you to continue to hold on to that word called Black American and African American with a death grip than to fight for your birthright. It's just a little bit more easier for you not to have to face that real fight, to fight for your birthright, like every other immigrant have in America. Every immigrant walking around on two legs is recognized for their birthright. Every immigrant in America walking around on two legs are recognized for their identity. Every immigrant walking around in America on two legs is recognized as an official identity, birthright, and ethnicity. That is not applied to Black Americans and African Americans. But you adults have made no effort to demand that from the OMB, to demand that from America, to demand that from the whole world that uses the term Black American and African American and put it in print or or say it in media. You just take it. They disrespect your existence. They disrespect your human rights as a human being to be recognized as an identity, a birthright, ethnicity. God afforded each of us that right. Before breath was blown in our body, God afforded each of us that right. But you persons, you adults, allow the OMB in America and the whole world to disrespect you every day you wake up. They even have convinced you to identify with a word called Black American. They have convinced you to identify with a word called African American. And you are taking it laying down. You're just swallowing it and then running around repeating it. It's not bad enough that they even had the audacity to disrespect your birthright, but you are choosing to keep on walking around repeating it. It's crazy. It's downright crazy. I don't know what other word to use. It's downright crazy. So, all you folks who've been running around here calling these immigrants tetters, all you persons who identify as Black American and African American, and you've been running around for the past year or two calling these immigrants tetters, well, America flipped the script. You are a tedder. The immigrants are recognized. That definition on the OMB, it belongs to the immigrants in every sense of the words that are there. I can't lie and deny that. I'm not happy about it. I'm very upset and angry, and that's why I'm opening these spaces to send a message to every person that see it in the hallway. I don't do this for nothing. I don't have the revenue capital. I do not have the revenue capital that all of these other corporations have, but I can certainly use my social media platforms to advertise my message the same way they advertise their ads. I don't have the same amount of revenue, but I don't do these rooms for nothing. If my enemy is going to use advertisement to program and push their lying message, I'm going to use the same thing. I'm going to use the same thing that they use to harm me. If they're going to weaponize the media and print to harm me, I'm going to weaponize the media and print to let them know how I feel, to give them, to make it very clear to them where I stand. This is one person that is not being programmed with your propaganda. I am one person that is not being programmed with your propaganda. Now, I was certainly programmed for a good portion of my life. I can't deny that. I'm not going to sit up here and lie and pretend like I was not impacted by my enemies' propaganda and media propaganda for a good portion of my life. I can't deny that. But fortunately, I have the ability, based on the foundation that my mother gave me and my Heavenly Father, to make self-correction, to have the ability to make self-correction. And that is what I have been doing. From the time I could understand as much as I could understand, I made self-correction. Whether that was in the 4th grade, the 5th grade, the 6th grade, the 7th grade, the 8th grade, the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 11th grade, the 12th grade. That's when it started. And I've been making self-correction every step of the way. Every step of the way, I've been making self-correction. And so I will continue to use my social media platforms. I will continue to build websites at the website to get my message out there to the masses. I can't count the number of websites I got now. I've lost count. I have literally lost count. I didn't think that was possible. But once I get done working on what I'm working on right now, I'm gonna make a note of each of the websites that I have. I got them in my head for the most part. I just can't write them off right now. But they up in my head, and I will be making sure that I list them one by one on my notepad. And most of the links are on my notepad. I just got to get it organized. But that's what I intend to use these social media for, amongst other things. If they're gonna pump out a propaganda, I'm gonna pump out the message that I need to pump out for my well-being. It's a fair exchange. I look at it like a fair exchange. If my enemy is going to pump out propaganda 24 hours a day, then it's up to me. It's up to me to try to pump out my honest message for my own well-being. Just a fair exchange. It's just a downright fair exchange. That's how I see it. And for some odd reason, my room keeps closing for the past 2 days. For the past 2 days, my broadcast keeps closing down. The last one only stayed up a little over 2 hours. Somebody, some imaginary person is closing down my room. And I don't know why. I don't know why somebody is closing down my broadcast. But I be watching my broadcast like a hawk. Now, I have to get up and move around. I have to run errands. And I have to do this and that from time to time. And I have to go to sleep. I have to run errands. I have to do a little tasks here and there that causes me to have to get up from my computer and go do those tasks. And I have to run. I have to go to sleep. I have to eat. And sometimes I walk away from the computer. I just get up and walk away from that computer and go do my other things. And I think folks think I'm not watching it. They think I'm not watching my broadcast. I wouldn't be wasting my time doing my broadcast if I wasn't watching it. It would just be a waste of time. I'd be watching it like a hawk. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd be watching it like a hawk. Now it may, if you may take it down, and I may be asleep at the time that you take it down, or I may have gotten up and walked away, or I may have gotten up and run out to run errands, but I ain't gonna be gone that long. Whatever I do, I'm not gonna be gone that long, and I'm gonna be back, and I'm gonna be looking at that computer, and I'm gonna see that some low-down human being took my room down, took my broadcast down. It's just a low-down shame. It's just a low-down shame. I done restarted my room for the past 2 days more than I ever did the first 87 days that I kept my room open straight on Twitter for 24 hours straight. And in those 87 days, from the 4th of May to about the end of August of 2023, I kept my room open for 24 hours straight on Twitterland. And I never had to restart my room as much as I'm having to restart it in the past 2 days. So I'm not crazy. I have a comparison. I have almost 90 days that my Twitter space stayed open for 24 hours straight, and I never had to restart it. But every 24 hours, I had to restart it, because my phone screen would just go white, and then I would know it was time to restart it. But in the past 2 days, my room is just going down. Every time I look around, it's gone down. But that's okay. I'm just going to keep restarting it. That's all going to happen. That's all that's going to happen. I'm just going to keep on restarting it. Once I see that somebody don't took it down and I didn't take it down, I know I'm not crazy. If I took it down myself, that's one thing. But if I know I did not take it down and someone else took it down, I'm just going to restart it. I'm simply just going to restart it and go on about my merry way. I'm just going to simply restart it and go back to doing my other tasks and working on my business stuff and doing whatever I got to do. I simply know how to multitask. I know how to multitask, and I can be broadcasting. I can be doing my broadcast on 3 platforms at one time. And it's doing that. It's broadcasting on 3 platforms every time I open it. Every time I do a broadcast, it's being broadcast on 3 platforms. So you folks who are going to all the trouble to close down my room, to close down my broadcast, is just a waste of time, because I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it and I'm going to restart it. It's just that simple. Okay, folks, I got to go to work. I got to get to my work. Y'all, thank you for popping in for the broadcast. Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly. Look like one of my broadcasts went. Somebody took it down. I got to go restart it. I tell you, you folks are sorry. Y'all just so sorry. I got to go over here and restart my broadcast on Instagram. I got to go restart my broadcast. These folks really think I'm not paying attention. They really think I'm not watching my broadcast like a hawk. I'm just gonna restart it. I ain't got time for it. I got to go get my work done. But thank you folks for popping in. Thank y'all for popping in for the broadcast. I hope you're having a good day. And I trust that you are safe and out of harm's way. Keep safe and stay alert. Do everything possible to stay safe and stay alert. That's about it for me for now. I may pop back on here later if something comes to mind, but once I can't constantly get on the microphone and talk. Most of the time I may try to get on at least one time a day and say a few words, but the primary purpose of my broadcast is to send a message to my enemy. I'm gonna be frank with you. I appreciate y'all coming in and getting the message, and I hope you'll share it with your family members and loved ones. But the primary purpose of this broadcast is for, of course, it's for the community. It's for the enemy also. Let me correct myself. It's for my community. It's for myself, because I need to educate myself. Second is for my community. And third is for the enemy, to send a clear message, a consistent message, a constant message, a clear message, a consistent message, a constant message to the enemy, that I'm not going to take what you're doing lying down and not have anything to say about it. No, I'm not going to do that. My mom didn't raise me that way. My mother did not raise me that way. I'm sorry to tell you. My mom just did not do that. So I am a practical clone of my mother. I can't. Everybody tell me I'm a clone of her. I don't think so all the way. I think I'm very, very close, but I'm not all the way there. I'm very, very close, but I'm not all the way there. I got some sides to my personality that my mother did not show. She did not have, that was not a part of her personality. My mom was very special. She don't have some of my bad personality traits. So I'm not gonna do that to my mother and claim to be a clone of her. I got a lot of ways like her. I look like her. Everyone say I'm a spitting image of her. I got a lot of her personality and a lot of her ways, but I still have my individual personality. And my mother made sure that each of her 7 children was allowed to be their individual self. One thing that I recognized growing up, that my mother allowed me and my brothers and sisters to be our individual self. She didn't try to mold us or shape us into anything. She just allowed us to be our individual self. Now, when we was wrong, she didn't have no trouble correcting us. So that's where I stand. But yes, Lord, the enemy has to be told that you are aware of what they're doing. Because see, when folks do evil, they don't like it to be exposed. That's why you have to put it on blast. That's why you have to expose it and put it on blast. Because evil wants to be comfortable in society. It wants to coexist with you and me. It wants to coexist with you and me and be comfortable. And I don't choose for evil to be comfortable around me. So I'm going to expose it. I'm going to put it on blast. I'm going to expose it and I'm going to put it on blast. As long as I have energy to do it. Just as sure as what my name is. I'm going to put it on blast, and I'm going to expose it. Because evil and greed and dishonesty, all of it needs to be exposed. Every bit of it needs to be exposed. Otherwise, it's going to impact you and me in a negative way. It's going to impact my child and your children in a negative way eventually. It's going to impact your grandkids eventually in a negative way. So that's just the responsibility and the obligation that I take on. I take on that responsibility and obligation that the society that I live in, if I don't expose the lies and all the different things that I feel is impacting my day-to-day life in a negative way, then I'm saying it's okay, that I'm okay with it harming me. If I stay silent, I'm saying to those forces out there that's doing those things to harm me in a negative way, I'm in every sense of it, every sense of it, I'm telling that I'm conveying a message that I'm okay with it. And seeing as how I am not, then I'm going to take the responsibility and the obligation to expose what is harming me and put it on blast. I'm going to expose it and I'm going to put it on blast if I have time to do it. If I can fit it into my schedule, I'm going to expose it and I'm going to put it on blast because I love me. I love me. I love my child. I love my community. I love my family. I love my Heavenly Father. And because of that, I'm going to try my best to do my little part to expose lies. I detest liars. I completely detest liars. Excuse me. No, I mean, it's right at the top of my list. I detest liars. I detest evil. I detest greed. I detest corruption. It's just a laundry list of things that really are at the top of my list. And so I'm just going to address anything that harms my well-being, because I'll say again, I love Aqualin like no tomorrow. I do. I have no trouble with that. I love me like no tomorrow. And unless I wake up and stop loving me, I'm going to continue to do whatever I can to look out for my well-being. So, y'all folks, enjoy your day. Keep safe and enjoy. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you again for coming in, and take care.